I'm hot right now. Oh! It's all good. It's all good. It's one my dad had on earlier. So.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Hello everyone. This is
Dastaans with the Dastaan team. Oh wait, no.
this
Is
is
it?
Mira and this is Fatima and we're
And welcome to Dastaans with the Dastaan team. Sorry.
ready?
So, yeah.
Okay. Hello everyone. This is Fatima
And this is Amira.
and this is
Dastaans with the Dastaan team featuring
Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Omar.
Omar! Yay! Hey guys, this is Editing Amira talking. Just wanted to give a fair warning. Please do not listen to this video with any types of earphones, headphones, anything of the sort, because there is a point where Omar's mic dies and I had to make some adjustments on the sound. So please do not listen to this with any types of hearing devices. Okay, so today, Omar, we have you with us. Thank you for being here, first of all. We just wanted to talk about kind of your journey, your life, and how you do some things that are important to you and the initiatives that you've taken. A number of them, we know you're the co-founder of Studio 89. We know that you're on this Instagram page. You're the writer editorial for what is it called? Sacred Thoughts.
Sacred Footsteps.
Sacred Footsteps. Sorry.
It's okay.
And we wanted to kind of discuss that and how you got there. So we just wanted to start off with, who are you? Where were you born? Where were you raised? What's your background? What's up?
Sure. Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. My name is Omar. I've been in Canada for like 24 years, 23, 4 years. I was born in Saudi Arabia. I lived there for about 11 years and then migrated with my parents to Mississauga. We've like grown up here. I have like a background in political science and I did my master's in development, and this is the elevator pitch that I usually go to employers with. But I definitely think that the journey that I've been on is one of like seeking impact wherever I go. And Studio 89, I haven't been affiliated with Studio 89 since probably 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I am one of the co-founders of Studio 89, and we kind of conceptualize that space with a team of which I think only a handful are still left involved with the original involved with the space. But I still believe a place like Studio 89 and a place like Mississauga and the community that it serves is still very much relevant to back when we started in 2014. And then, since then I kind of worked overseas a little bit. I worked in Bangladesh for about 9 months. I worked in India for about 4 months, 5 months. My background is originally Pakistani. I tried very much to work in Pakistan as well to complete the whole trifecta. But just one thing led to another. I wasn't able to find something that was well suited for me. But I have also been involved with Sacred Footsteps, as you mentioned. One of the editorial team members, and the core team members that are still running it. I'm amongst one of them. We have a team of 4. The founder herself her name is Zara Chaudhry. She's based in the UK, and the idea behind Sacred Footsteps was kind of reviving this long and well documented tradition of travel for the purposes of knowledge, which is a huge part of early Islamic history and civilization. You have travelers like Ibn Fadla and Ibn Battuta that have that were known for their travelogues, which are essentially like modern form of blogging, right? I'm a creative storyteller. I like to share stories about what I'm kind of, not only where I'm traveling, but like what I'm experiencing,
Yeah.
whether it's visually or through creative writing. And so Sacred Footsteps was a very good fit for me because of that kind of vision that is shared. And more importantly, I think, like, Sacred Footsteps is also a platform which provides Muslims uh, to kind of grapple with um, topics that are about not just travel and culture, but, like, connecting deeper meanings associated with that. So, like, what does travel say about how you practice your faith?
Yeah.
When you travel, what kind of an approach should you take, and how does that align with Muslim values and the deeply rooted traditions of respect and discovery and curiosity that are crucial to our faith. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit about me. Sorry,
Just a little bit.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's really cool. I think it's really important whenever you travel somewhere, you know the history of the place you're traveling to, the background and everything, and especially if it's rooted in Islamic culture, which I feel like so many European countries and down in the East are, right? But why do you think it's important to know that history when you're traveling to a place? Why can't, like, I feel like a lot of people, they go and they're like, wow, this is like so aesthetic and it's
Yeah.
pretty, and it's one thing to appreciate the aesthetic, but why is it so important to know about the story of the place, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I think, this is something that we often talk about. We've done podcasts for Sacred Footsteps on this topic, that what is your approach to travel? And beyond aesthetic, what are we getting out of travel? So we've done a few episodes, travel as political. I was a part of that one. Travel for the purposes of seeking knowledge. You know, the ulama of the Muslim world, historically and contemporary ones, it is vital to their learning to go and learn from people that are based in wherever they are, right? Like, I mean, in contemporary times, I would say, like, maybe for people like in your generation, Omar Suleiman, grew up in the US, went and got educated in Malaysia, and now he's this global scholar. He has learned from so many different ulama and sheikhs all around the world. Maybe in my generation, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, famously known for his, like, travel to Mauritania, um, and Yahya Rodis, all of these sheikhs who went to Yemen to learn from Habib Omar and other sheikhs. And then as far back as, as I was saying, like Ibn Battuta, like, who served in courts from Delhi to, like, China, like, actually I might be mistaken about China, but yeah, this is, we've also done a topic about travel is for the purposes of discovery. And not just discovery of culture, but, like, discovery of yourself. I think the way that travel has, to answer your question about why it's important, I think that there's several layers to this. The first layer is travel today is about aesthetics, and there's nothing wrong with that. We as human beings want to see beautiful things, and that is important, sure. But beyond that, it's also about, are you are you investigating what you're getting from a place? So if I go to Mexico, all inclusives are very cheap in Mexico. If I just want 5 days of, like, doing nothing, that's fine. You do you. There's no judgment. I never have any problems with the way that people travel, unless they're being, like, deliberately disrespectful towards the culture and place. That's rare. But people want different things from their travel. And when I was traveling, I was a broke student.
Same.
Historically, I was working for organizations that never paid extravagantly.
Of course.
But I was always on a budget. And just by default, I was put in situations and circles where I was, you know, relying on other people who knew the place very well
Yeah.
to help me navigate and, um, you know, just adjust and
Yeah.
settle, you know. So I learned very quickly that if I need any kind of authenticity to what I'm experiencing, and I
Right.
need some validation from people who live here,
Mm-hmm.
the least that I can do is to hear from their experiences and try to learn from that,
Right.
because it's no longer about like 5 days of travel, it's about
Yeah.
like 9 months of adjustment. Like, how am I
Yeah.
going to adjust, right?
Exactly.
So that was one. The other thing is that I think, again, going back to the faith implications of this, um, modern day travel and, you know, what we all grow up with
Mhm.
are fairy tales of discovery from a very colonial gaze.
Right.
Because travelers
Yeah.
like Rudyard
Mhm.
Kipling, you know, historically, a British traveler who, like, you know, went all over the colonial territories,
Yeah.
including, you know, Egypt, Pakistan, India, and wrote about these places that he was like discovering, right?
Right.
So, and even from that, like, we never really recovered, you know.
Right.
You have Pakistanis who live in Pakistan who go to northern territories and they're like, oh my god, look at all this beautiful
Yeah.
landscapes.
Like as if people don't live there every
Yeah, as if
day.
people
Yeah.
don't live there. Or like, look at all these people, they're so hospitable. Look at the women in Kashmir, they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's something that always takes
That's
me
a
off.
really big
I'm like,
thing.
how are you? It's the worst thing when I'm online and I just see like this white man going to like India or Pakistan being like how to travel on a budget
Mhm.
in India and Pakistan.
Mhm.
You're already on a budget.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
400 rupees to $1.
Yeah.
Like, you're already on a budget and you want people to give you more free stuff. Like I don't think that should be glamorized.
100%, 100%. And, you know, the self-colonial, you know, this is not really a term, but like the colonialism that we impose on ourselves
Right.
as a result of that, because we're always catering to the white gaze, and there is an element of economy associated with that. I get it, you know,
Yeah.
because Pakistan needs tourism,
Mhm.
but there's ways to go about this from more sustainable
Yeah.
Point of view, and also like from a point of view that preserves like values and
Exactly.
and
No, for
heritage.
Yeah.
And you know, not to blame, you know, Westerners that are going to Pakistan. It's also like Pakistanis going to Pakistan.
For
It is,
sure.
You know,
it is.
there's
100%.
and I'm not saying this. I'm not living in Pakistan. I'm saying there are Pakistani content creators, historians that have talked about this. That
Yeah.
how can Pakistan support the growth of tourism from a very conscious and sustainable point of
Yeah.
view?
Mhm.
And that's an important topic. So yeah, I think like that's why travel, to be more intentional in your travel, is very important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't preach about. That's just something that I try to embody and, you know, kind of like learn from other people that are also doing it much better than me. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think like the self-colonialism aspect is so interesting because
Yeah.
so I grew up in Pakistan, and I think what your history books teach you also has such a big impact on how you view like your own country and other countries as well, right?
Mhm.
And for the most part, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most unbiased perspective in the history books.
Yeah.
So I did like O levels over there, which is like grade 9 to 11,
Mhm.
and you know the history I read. I'm not going to lie, I will admit to this. When I went to the northern areas, I was surprised that people were living there straight up. Like,
Mhm.
Wow.
and because that's just how history had been taught to me. That's
Mhm.
how the northern areas had been described to me as someone living in Lahore, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Like, one of the reasons why you should go out and explore and intentionally get out of your echo chamber in these areas is because you need to rid yourself of these biased perspectives that might have formed unintentionally. For the most part, they are formed unintentionally, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's like very, very interesting and very important.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think like as someone who has like a different perspective as that, I went to an American international school in Kuwait.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna say this. I think history is never unbiased. History
Sure.
will always be biased because it's who's writing it, and most of
Absolutely.
the time, it's from a colonialist perspective.
Mhm.
And when we discover, like, even in our U.S. history books, I remember when we were talking about the Indus River. I was only in like sixth grade,
Mhm.
and we are talking about the Indus River, and they just completely failed to acknowledge the fact that a large portion of it, if not almost all of it, lies in Pakistan.
Mhm.
And they're like, so the Indus River is in India, and the society that's associated with it, they're like, yeah, it's in India. I'm like, yeah, India many, many, many years ago.
Sure.
But now, like, I was like, you guys create, like, these borders have been created.
Mhm.
And, you know, like, the new history is not being acknowledged. Textbooks are not updated.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, like, I can't believe I'm arguing with my social studies teacher right now, because it was a very interesting thing to see. And I was like, but also at the same time, you can't blame someone, because you're like, when you haven't been there yourself,
Yeah.
and you haven't explored these things, when you look at it from such an outsider's perspective that the East is not my problem,
Mhm.
you're not very successful in gaining knowledge about it, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, my question for you would be, so what would you say to people who, you know, I know there's a lot of Muslims who say that, you know, traveling the world, it's not my problem. I just need to get my deeds together. I know a lot of people are like, I don't care about this world. I only care about the next life.
Sure.
And what would you say to those people who are like, travel is not my problem. Like, why should I travel? It's not my right. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what happens in this world. What would you say to those Muslims?
Hey, travel is a very privileged experience. There's no
Yeah.
denying that. And I think it would be fooling yourself and lying to yourself to think that, travel is something that people from all walks of life, regardless of their economic and social situations, should adopt.
Mhm.
It's not fair. And most people will, grow up and live their whole lives in the surroundings that raise them. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think beyond physical movement, we need to think about travel deeper. How do you go deeper into the places that you travel or that you reside in? Traveling, think about what people often say what the effects of travel are.
Yeah.
People often say, oh my God, travel really makes you grow. It changes you as a person. It creates appreciation for new cultures. Those are kind of like the positive impacts that people often highlight about travel. But one of my teachers I remember was said something really profound that's always stuck with me. It was just that travel doesn't change you; it brings out a new part of you, because you're always going to be the same person. It's not like if I am a very deeply introverted person, that if I'm traveling, I'll suddenly become this like complete opposite extrovert. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm still going to retain who I am. But being in a social condition and a surrounding which is new to me, it might make me more open to the idea of talking to more people. That might be what an impact of travel comes. But it doesn't like change me. I might internalize some lessons from that.
Yeah.
But it's not a watershed moment that's occurring. And I could be wrong. For people, I'm reading autobiography of Malcolm X right now, and travel in many ways for him was an eye opener. Because he was disillusioned from the Nation of Islam, and there were all these dynamics that were taking place, but he was already on a path. And if I'm thinking about this from a spiritual perspective, God guides who he wills. Um, his entire experiences leading up to the disillusionment and separation from the Nation of Islam was God guiding him.
Okay.
But it wasn't a watershed moment in terms of like, he uprooted his whole life. No, he confirmed that the plight of the black man in the America, in the U.S. was going to be resolved by Islam. And then he went from thinking that black man can be uplifted by the Nation of Islam, saying all of humanity in the U.S. racism can be cured by Islam. That's what he fundamentally believed. So you see how travel over there is not like a watershed moment, but it's a confirmation.
Yeah.
it's a capstone to existing ideas that are percolating in you. So I often say to people that if you cannot travel, then be more intentional about the places that you reside in. There's so many great examples of Muslim community members, and not just Muslim, but like, communities that created this country.
Yeah.
Um, unless you are indigenous to the lands of Canada, you are an immigrant.
Yeah.
And your forefathers and your ancestors all came in different periods of time, and that history is worth exploring because it allows you to go deeper into what you can learn from that and how their struggles may or may not be relevant today. And if they're not relevant today, then what is relevant today to your South Asian diaspora, one of the biggest diasporas in Mississauga. It's a big community. We are not a monolith. We are extremely diverse in all beliefs and what we want for ourselves as a community and the approaches that we embody to manifest and realize those.
Yeah.
Take Palestine for example. So many mosques and community leaders were on a spectrum of what their interaction will be with the nation, with the state. Do we platform leaders? Do we allow them into our spaces? Do we meet with them? What is the approach of meeting them? Should we meet them behind closed doors? Should we meet them in public? Should we inform the community that we're having this meeting? Should we not? And that, there's no right or wrong answer, but what is going to be driven by that? I take that back. There is a right answer. And the right answer is that you cannot do anything without the buy-in of the community that you're serving.
Of course.
And going back to travel and how that relates and why it's important, the most significant change that comes from travel is the expansion of your ideas of community. Your community may be here, and even if you don't leave this bubble, that's fine. But you, on a day-to-day basis, may think of 15 people. But when you try to go inwards, when you're traveling as a state of mind, not just like a physical movement, as a state of mind, if you travel and you empathize with people that are around you, then your community grows. And that is not, there is no privilege associated with that. Empathy is a base requirement, and even from a Muslim perspective, dawah is service. And so if you are in the service of others, always, then your community is going to keep growing.
Wow. That is so beautiful.
That's a really good way to put it.
I'm like smiling like ear to ear. That was very beautiful. And I think that
Fatma's always smiling, guys, don't worry.
that kind of brings me into my next question, which is, when you are writing these pieces on the countries that you visit, what are things you keep in mind when writing these pieces, right? Because I guess obviously, you're writing to the public. There's this like sense of responsibility to make sure that you're portraying the area as it is, authentically. So what's best practice for you in that sense?
Good question. I'll speak about the places that I've written more about. I used to do this thing where I would do photo essays because I'm a photographer and I believe in visual storytelling. My writing is okay. I definitely think that I still have a lot to learn in how to be a more evocative storyteller. I know what I'm good at, which is speaking from my heart. I really value, and I always encourage, even as an editor, I always tell people to use your own voice. Don't try to write, because writing is often taught to us in schools, and so the way that we write is very academic, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's so isolating to people, and audiences want relatability. wouldn't want to see their experience. Why do we watch films?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, why do we why do we read books? Why do
Right.
we, you know, why do we tell Dastaans? Because we want relatability in our experiences.
Right.
And so I always encourage people to find their own voice, which is the easiest form of it is to like just don't have a pretense about what you're trying to say, but like don't have this fear of will I be understood, because that is a very human fear. Like
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
want to be understood. But instead of wanting to be understood, just
Yeah.
express.
Be
you know,
yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Because that is a service to yourself, rather the
Yep.
former is a service to other people. You can't serve other people when you can't serve first yourself. Put on your own mask.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So anyway, um, how I've approached photo essays in the past has always been um, dynamic. Like for example, I did a photo essay on Cuba.
Okay.
Um, the first time that I went to Cuba, I went as by myself. I stayed in an Airbnb in Havana, which is not a usual Canadian experience of when people go to Cuba.
Yeah.
People go to like Airbnb,
Yeah.
all inclusive,
Yeah.
on the
Beach.
beach.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I want to. I like cities. Havana is a very historically significant city. The Cuban history is so fascinating. There's Muslims in Cuba.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, I want to stay in the city and really kind of explore that. And so a lot of that photo essay was more so like observational.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, who am I talking to? What are the places that I'm visiting? How can I? What was I learning about that space? But then when I was in India and when I was in Bangladesh, I was reading literature from those places. So, like I was reading Tagore.
Right.
I was
Mhm.
reading, you know, I can't remember the books right. You know,
Yeah.
A Train to Pakistan, or
Yeah.
like Manto stories
Uh-huh.
of partition, um, Fine Balance, Arundhati Roy, like all of these people who are talking about the places that I was visiting. I was like, I want to
Right.
read these stories because I want to see what is real and what's not. Like,
Mm.
is this just in my imagination or is this
Exactly.
real?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on top of that, it was also about um, kind of conveying where I was at, like mentally in my own development. So when I came back, in 2016, I literally went from east to like all the way, like as east as Pakistan to India, Bangladesh, and then I also went to Burma
Mhm.
that
Okay.
same year. Um, and I've always been passionate about like colonial history, and you know all of these places in the British colonial period of the subcontinent are very rich in history
Mhm.
Yeah.
about how the independence of all of these countries came about, right? So I wanted to kind of like capture all of those ideas as well. And then when I was in London, you know, in the heart of empire, you know,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'm in London. This is one of
Everyone's fighting for their independence from this place.
yeah, like because it was right after I came back from South Asia, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to London.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a long trip. What do I want to take away from this?
Right.
Do I want to go to Buckingham Palace? No. Do I want to go to the Tate Modern? Not really.
Overrated.
Yeah. Do I want to go to like, you know, Borough Market and like,
Mhm.
you know, learn about food culture in London? Yes. That
Yes.
speaks to me.
Wow.
Right.
You know, do I want to go to Brick Lane and actually learn about how the communities are embodying like British values and
Mhm.
contending with
Yeah.
that? Yes, I want
Yeah.
to learn about that. So I think like, you know, the more you again first go deeper into yourself, the more you can take away from whatever form of travel. You could go to Muskoka for all I care.
Mhm.
But if you
Yeah.
go to Muskoka, what is it that you are trying to achieve there? Are
Right.
you looking, because it's okay if you need a family vacation, that's fine. You may be burnt out from work and you need the R&R, that's fine. But more importantly, like if you're going to this place, are you learning about indigenous communities? You know, your
Right.
brother and I went to Vancouver
Right.
and Whistler and Victoria, like Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
And one of the fundamental things that we were always like trying to do was learn about Indigenous and First Nations communities
Wow.
in all of those places.
Right.
And now it's changed me because whenever people ask me for recommendations about, hey, I'm going to Whistler, what should I do? I
Oh,
always tell them that you need to go to the Indigenous Cultural Center,
right.
which is in the heart of Whistler, because it's incredible. You learn a lot. You will see how the community over there is very different from Indigenous First Nations in
Right.
Ontario. You know, that's basically my
Yeah.
approach. That, you need to kind of
Yeah.
like,
Love it.
Wow. So you just immerse yourself in the indigeneity of the place.
yeah, and the
And
stories of the place.
right. And what it says to you.
Yeah.
And I think like that's really important because whenever I think about it, I mean, I'm a brown girl. My parents are not going to let me travel anytime soon like that, which understandable.
Sure.
All good. I live in my parents' house. But when I really think about it, like the reason that want to travel is because I love storytelling. And I was working for this organization. It's my cousin's, Hera.
Yeah.
I think you know her.
Hybrid tours.
Our World 2. What's that? Is that Maha?
Maha.
Hello. um
Yeah.
Bye. Our World 2. With Our World 2 and now the hybrid tours as well, I realized that the storytelling aspect, giving the narrative back, which is the point of the organization, handing the narrative back to the Indigenous voices of the area, giving it back to the people who otherwise don't have a voice is very important. And that I knew how much that meant to me, even though I didn't do it for that long. And I think that's really important. And I think we can all agree that as also being Indigenous to other places in the world, we have a certain respect for when we come to other places. And I think, I mean, the last question to you would be for our audience who are around Gen Z, millennial. We have a lot of questions, but the thing is, time is short.
I will ask you after.
Yeah. So I guess just to wrap it up, for our audience who are millennials, Gen Z, around our age, around your age, what are 3 pieces of advice? Tops 3 pieces of advice that you would give to millennials and Gen Z who are out there right now, whether they're Muslim or not, and they want to travel or they want to tell their story about where they've been, but they can't seem to do it. What would you say to them?
Okay, this is coming from an editor's mind. Okay.
Okay.
Not every story needs to be told.
Right.
This is a very controversial opinion, and I might get
some people need to stop talking. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's not that you need to stop talking. It's that before you say something, all of the great writers in whatever culture that you can imagine,
Right.
their first skill was reading.
Right.
Reading is the first skill. If you don't read, and if you're not being, intentional with your reading as a way to further improve your own storytelling and approach to storytelling, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Read. I always can tell when a writer is well read because it's not just about vocabulary, it's about literary devices, it's about the techniques that come from good storytelling, which you can read.
Yeah.
Okay. So first piece of advice, if you want to be a good storyteller, read good stories. I would say a second piece of advice is being intentional with yourself is you need to own what your intentions are.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a time and place of influencers and content creators, which are doing this as a full-time job, and they have targets to meet.
Yeah,
they're in a grind of acquiring attention,
right,
and audience.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to do that,
by all means,
go for it. I don't want to peg expectations on you. Asif Johan, Joe Smith, whoever you are, you are, if that is your purpose, own it.
Okay.
Don't give me a pretense that you're doing this for noble reasons like
Yeah.
giving back to the people
Right.
and blah. Don't be phony. Be authentic.
Right.
It's okay. You will find an audience for whatever you want. If people like the Andrew Tates of the world can get the audience that they want, then I promise you will find an audience for whatever your intentions are.
Mhm.
So
For sure.
as long as you are being clear about what your intentions behind that storytelling is, go for it. But if you are on a spectrum of wanting to learn, of wanting to push the envelope, you want to improve your history and understanding of history, your understanding of culture, then understand, which is the third piece of advice, do not write as if your own experience is the monolith. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of space in the human experience of every kind
Right.
to categorize, and that's a after effect of the world that we live in today.
Right.
We want neat boxes and categories of what something is or
Yeah.
isn't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If something is vulnerable, then it cannot be um, applicable to wider audiences. No, your vulnerability may be accessible to other people.
Right.
If something is loud and you know very present and dominant, it can't be introspective, and there might be not less. No, it can be. It's about what you. Going back to how the second and the third are connected. That if your intentions are clear, then you will understand that not every experience or story falls in neat categories.
Right.
We need more space and time, really, for nuance.
Yeah.
Nuance is especially, and I think to your generation's credit, I sound like a grandpa here, but Gen Zers
Yeah.
have really done something different, which is that they've expanded the spectrum of
Yeah.
nuance because millennial audiences were too busy trying to carve a space. Millennial creators were too busy carving a space,
Right.
Yeah.
which was necessary.
Yeah.
But they need to now start moving beyond representation and identity
Right.
and really go forth and expanding the spectrum of what that identity caters to,
Mhm.
what this representation creates
Yeah.
opportunities for. So those are three pieces of advice I would say.
Yeah.
Wow. My mind has been enriched.
So I mean, thank you so much, Omar. We usually end off our podcasts with a question posed towards the audience.
Sure.
So today we'd like to give you that floor.
Okay.
What question do you want the audience to think about? And it would help them reflect. So what would you say to them?
I'll pose this as like a writing exercise for people. If you are somebody who's struggling to be a storyteller and you feel stuck, I'm somebody who can empathize. I often joke that I have a writer's block that has been now ongoing for like 3 years. But that's because there's a deep unrest in me, and I think my question would be is that if you are struggling to tell a story and you don't know how to go about it, what is the unrest which is rooted in yourself and in that story, which is causing you to feel that anxiety and that feeling of paralysis that you want relief from. So really investigate that.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much, Omar. I mean, this is a great episode. It's usually like very playful and stuff, but this was like I was like fully in tune.
Yeah.
Like my mind was here.
Yeah.
Any last words?
No, that really changed my perspective on traveling. I mean, I've always known that you need to be intentional with the way you go about things, especially when you're traveling to places that are foreign to you. But it's never that difficult to be in tune with the culture that you're visiting. You know what I mean? I feel like some people think it might be difficult, but you've shown today that it's actually not that difficult if you go and seek it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, as long as you're intentional. I mean, माशाल्लाह आज फातिमा झांसी की रानी बन के आई है हमारे घर पे, and she looks so nice. It's like a रानी.
Oh.
Jhansi was a place. Is a place.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Uskirani. It's a saying. And Omar looks like he's about to go to work at his full-time corporate job after telling us about all this introspect. And my brother's in the background, and everybody, my parents are watching TV. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much, Omar, for being here with us.
You can now have a cookie.
You can now have one of these melted cookies, guys. These cookies are so melted, yo. And so thank you so much for being here. We will definitely, maybe like 5 people will watch this. But you know what? That's 5 lives changed.
Yep.
Straight up. So thank you so much for your time. And I hope you have a safe travel back to Chicago.
Thank you.
All right. That could have been said off camera. Bye. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.